Welcome to Confessions of a Parent Coach. I'm Coach, a mother of four, and potty talker, Ann Kaplan. This is the podcast where I confess something from my own parenting and coaching life, teach a lesson around it, and answer your questions. Even we parenting experts are far from perfect, and the real magic happens when we get down with all that imperfection. We get into the gritty side of parenting here, so earbud up and dive in.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about, well, I like to use this topic. I used to like to say when mommy doesn't know best, but really this has nothing to do with mommies. It's just, that's the expression, right? Mommy knows best, mother knows best. It doesn't matter if you're a mom or not. We are talking today about the approach we take to parenting and to our relationship with our kids, and considering the possibility that maybe we as parents do not know best. And the reason why I'm bringing this topic up today is because I am really talking a lot in the next couple of weeks about the concept of our connection, communication, and relationship with our children. And the reason I'm doing that is because I am doing my Words That Work workshop, and I want you to come to it. So I always, when I do workshops, like to offer 2 different times for you to attend. So you have no excuses. There's always a time you can make it. You can either come Sunday evening or Monday at noon. And this year we're doing it in April. It's going to be April 7th and 8th. So Sunday the 7th or Monday the 8th. You pick what works best for you. I do have people that come to both. Like, there's a little peek behind the curtain. The link that you get when you enroll will work for both times. So it's not 2 separate links. So if you enroll in one, you can come to both. And I want to talk about this workshop with you briefly before we dive into the content of today's podcast episode. So Words That Work it's actually my favorite workshop that I teach. And the reason why is because it's about something that transcends simple discipline. So most people, when they come to work with me, they are coming to me because they're worried about the behavior in their home. Maybe it's disrespectful. Maybe kids are breaking the rules. Maybe people aren't listening. Maybe kids are making poor choices. Maybe there's lots of arguing and heightened emotions in the family. But bottom line is people are looking for tools to curb all of that, rein that all in, and make some changes there. And that's absolutely what you get when you work with me. But also, my clients learn pretty quickly that we're talking about something bigger than that, just behavior. We're talking about your relationship. This is, you hear me say all the time, we look at parenting through the relationship lens. We're using a relationship-based approach to parenting. If we are doing that, we start to see that there's a bigger world than just discipline. And that's what Words That Work is. It is a beautiful, in my opinion, sacred experience of teaching you not just how to discipline and respond to your children's behavior, but how to be connected with them. So how to deal with arguments, how to deal with backtalk, how to deal with disrespect, how to deal with lying, but most importantly, how to talk to your child so that you are maintaining your connection with that child, even when you have to discipline them, even when there are misbehaviors that we need to, get back on track. Sometimes we often feel that we have to kind of just choose. We have to decide, am I going to, be the strict disciplinarian here, or am I going to be connected and close with my kid? Words That Work is an opportunity for you to learn, first of all, that that's not a choice. You get to do both. You get to enforce boundaries and teach your child better behavior and stay in and maintain a connected, close relationship with them. That's an option for you. You get to do both things. And then how do we do that? And that's what Words That Work is all about. I'm going to teach you exactly what to say and what not to say so that your child starts to open up to you, feels close to you, learns to take no for an answer when you have to discipline them, doesn't push you away and you're not pushing them away. And especially if you have kiddos that are starting to get older, like outside of toddlerhood, we get into the school age thing, and emancipation is happening more and more and more. And pretty soon we're dealing with preteens, and then we're dealing with adolescents who are really in the emancipation chapter of life. We want to maintain that connection and that thread that we have between us and our kids. So the link to register to the workshop is in the show notes. Click on that link. You'll learn way, way, way more about the workshop, about how I run workshops. Workshops are something I've done. It's one of the only things actually in my sort of like marketing repertoire that I have done from day one of my business. And literally day one, the very first thing I ever did was run a workshop. And I held it in my living room. Held it in my living room. I think like 6 people came to it. One of them became a client of mine. Like that was my very first day of running my business, was a workshop. And now I do them online so people can log in from anywhere, and they can be recorded, and we can get deep and do lots and lots of interactions, live Q&A. I call them a workshop on purpose. They're not just a webinar. It's not just me being a talking head. This is very actionable and interactive. So check it out, register, pick your favorite day. It is free. So you don't even have to worry. You have no excuses time wise, because I gave you 2 different opportunities, and no excuses money wise, because it's free. And you'll get an opportunity to ask me questions and get coaching on your specific stuff and all around this beautiful sacred thing, which is our connection and communication with our children. So with that being said, let's talk about this idea of, does mommy know best, or do we as parents know best? And that is kind of my confession for you, because when I first started my business, the answer to that question would have been resounding yes. In fact, I'm going to back up even further. When I first became a parent, my answer to that question would have been a resounding yes. When I first started parenting, and then also when I first started, working with parents, really the approach that I learned and what I was taught was really coming from that lens. Mommy knows best. Parents know best. We're the grownups in the room. We know what's best, and we decide what that is. And then we teach our children to kind of get in line around that using consequences and boundaries, and all done in a loving way. Tons and tons of empathy. It's not that we were being cruel or punitive or authoritarian or any of that stuff, but it was really just a limited lens, because it was really just looking at behavior, and it was really just looking at, like, what do I think things are supposed to look like? And that was it. And so really I was parenting for that lens of mommy knows best. I know best. And it was not until my kids got a little bit older, and I think I had already even started my practice, that I started to consider, mommy might not know best. It might actually be that my kids know themselves better than I know them. Maybe they know what they need better than I know. And what if I started to expand that? And what I'm really talking about is expanding our lens from this parent centric lens to, which you guessed it, a relationship based lens, a relationship based approach to our children. Because that's the thing. When you parent through that whole mommy knows best attitude, if you're doing it the way, the way that we're learning, that if you're disciplining your child the way that I teach you, loving consequences, very thoughtful boundaries, staying calm, all of that stuff, your kid's behavior will improve. And that's exactly what happened to me. Like, I started showing up in these super effective ways, and my kid's behavior, it was like night and day. Within like 48 hours, I started seeing a difference with my kid. And I was like, oh, mission accomplished, wash my hands of this, problem. I am like really, really doing great. And everything was awesome. Except that as my kids got older, I started to realize, like, maybe there's more to this story than just, here's what I want to have happen in my house, and here's how I'm going to make sure it happens. It's more than just discipline. And I would say the first real tangible example I had of that was about around my kids' schooling. My kids had been showing me for many years, actually, that I did not know best when it came to the choices I had made about what school they would go to and what kind of learning environment they would be in. And it took me longer than I'd like to admit to face that and confront the fact that I might have made a mistake, and actually that my kids knew better than I did what they needed and where they belonged. And if I had been paying attention to that, we probably would have made a switch a long time ago. But I really had taken the behavioral, the disciplinary approach entirely to all of their stuff that had to do with school, whether it was missing assignments, school behavior, the social dynamics at school, all of it came back in my mind to, okay, well, how I show up as a parent is going to change this. And there we go. And that's not to say that behavior wasn't a big part of it or discipline wasn't a big part of it. Discipline will always be a part of your parenting. That's what authoritative parenting means. It means that we bring discipline and connection to our children and to our relationships with our kids and to our parenting. But when we have that myopic lens where it's all about discipline, we really miss something. And that's what I want to talk with you about today, because truthfully, good parenting is more than just discipline, because we're in a relationship with our kids. Once you make that shift to relationship-based parenting, you see there's like a whole sort of range, this landscape of what parenting is expands before your eyes, because a relationship is a two-way street. If I was focusing only on the discipline, but missing the back and forth of a true relationship with my kid, I ended up bulldozing them. I ended up pushing them away. That's how that looks. So if you feel like you're in that dynamic with your kiddo, this might be part of what's going on. So I encourage you today to think about expanding your parenting beyond discipline by staying open to the possibility that you might not know best. If you have a chronic situation in your family that you just can't seem to get any traction on, it might be because you're coming at it from the wrong angle. You might be wrong. You might not know best. And the people that you are trying to manage and control and figure out, they actually might know better than you. And it might be time to really allow that back and forth back into the dynamic there to figure out where you want to go with that. So, and that is the really cool thing about relationship-based parenting. Our kids inform us when we don't know best. If we are paying attention, if we keep our communication strong with them, they easily and naturally influence the way we care for them and the way we respond to their needs and the way that we handle their behavior, because we're actually doing that attunement piece, that relationship piece at the same time that we're doing the discipline piece. It's all about communication. You see the connection with the Words That Work workshop. So think about this. Try to prove it to yourself. If you are experiencing something that's off track with your kiddo, just think of one thing that you're like, gosh, I just can't seem to get a handle on this. Maybe it's screen time. Maybe it's getting ready for school in the morning. Maybe it's bedtime routine. Whatever it is, if things are off track, ask yourself, how well are you communicating with your child? In fact, I'm going to back that up and ask it a different way. How well are you and your child communicating with each other? Do each of you feel heard? Do you know how to promote their listening to you, or do you know how to listen to them? And how do you each feel when you walk away from an interaction with each other? Because this is why I do the Words That Work workshop. This isn't just a discipline thing. If the answer to any of these questions is not what you want it to be, it's not just a discipline thing. We have to talk about your communication. We have to talk about how you connect with your kiddo. Of course, we have to talk about that. It's kind of crazy when you think about how many parenting resources are out there that don't talk about this part at all. So this is why I think everyone in earshot of this podcast should be coming to Words That Work. You have 2 chances to attend, like I said, and this workshop is going to give you exactly the tools you need to do more than just discipline your kid. You're going to learn what to say, what not to say, to both address their behavior and keep your relationship strong, so that it really is this two-way street again. And we're not doing this whole mommy knows best stuff anymore. So make sure you click on the link in the show notes. You also can just go to my website, AnnKaplanParentCoach.com, and it's just /Words That Work. You can find this easily. Even if you don't check your show notes, even if you're driving right now and you got to remember this, the workshop is called Words That Work. You can figure this out. And like I said, it's free. I really encourage you to come live, because we have, live interactions and chances to ask questions and get coaching and all of that stuff. And I cannot wait to see you. I can't wait to see you there and share all of the tools, all of the skills, all of those tips and tricks that help us stay in connection with our kiddos. Have a great week, everybody, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.
The episode is over, but there's more waiting for you. You can grab my free workbook, Getting Kids to Listen the First Time, that walks you through the fundamental principles I teach all of my clients and applies them to this very universal parenting challenge. So if you're sick of repeating yourself all day long or just want to learn more about my style, you'll definitely want to go to bit.ly/kidswholisten. And if you're ready to work with me, let's meet. Set up a free call at bit.ly/KaplanCall, and let's create an action plan that gets you exactly where you want to go. And of course, links to all this goodness are in the show notes. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.